Okay, this is how to do step 6, adding evidence. So now that you have topic sentences, you can start to add in quotes from your articles to support this. So at this time, you're going to need to make sure that you not only have your outline open, but that you also have your topic guide open. And then what you're going to be doing is in your outline, you're going to want to scroll to body paragraph 1, and we're going to be filling in the evidence portions, so those blue portions. Okay. And we're going to be putting quotes from our articles that are in our topic guide. So I'm going to scroll down to the start of my first article. So if you haven't yet chosen chosen what your evidence is going to be, that is going to be the first step. So this is where your highlighting is really going to come in handy. You're going to scroll through and you're going to read the things that you've highlighted, whatever that first color is. In my case, yellow. And I can see the different quotes that I've highlighted yellow. There's a few here. I have some to choose from. I have a few different options. Continue scrolling here. And it's really easy to tell where I need to stop scrolling because I'll come up to yellow. Oh, there's more yellow. And still scrolling. And even more yellow. So you're going to select 2 of the quotes. The best ones, the ones that you think have the most interesting or important information. There are a lot of different ways to pick your quotes. I chose to make sure that I had one that was about significant events and that I also had one that was about technology because my topic sentence talks about both. So that's the other thing. You want to read what they actually say and make sure that you didn't highlight something that was not relevant. Okay, so now that I have selected my 2 quotes that I want to put in my body paragraphs, I can start to put those in. So the first step is actually going to be starting with a lead in and highlighting that lead in green. You also want to watch your length. You shouldn't be using a quote that's more than 3 lines. Okay, you're also required to make sure that you use all 3 sources somewhere in the paper, so that's something to think about. And remember, if you use the Newsella article as well, then you can get some bonus points for having used an extra source. But it has to be that source. And then, of course, we're going to have to add our citation after the quote. So let's first deal with the lead in piece. If you're looking for some options of lead ins in your packet that you were given of sentence stems to help with integrating evidence, there's a one section about introducing other people's ideas that has stems that would work, or you can just Google sentence starters for for introducing evidence. And then it'll give you several different websites that have several different really good things that you can use. So, what I am going to do is I'm going to start just with the article title, and I'm going to use the verb explains. So, I'm going to say the article 10 things you need to know about Gen Z. And remember, article titles go in quotation marks. Explains. And then I'm going to go and grab my quote. So my first quote I want to use is actually in this first article. Here I marked it, use in body 1. Okay, here it is. So we are accustomed to getting immediate feedback. A great example is online grading portals where we can get frequent updates on our academic performance. In the past, students sometimes had to wait weeks or longer to receive a test grade. So I'm going to paste this without formatting, which is Control-Shift-V if you're wanting to use keyboard shortcuts. So I put that in there, and I want to close the quote with a close quote. All right. Also, remember to highlight your lead-in green. And now we need to add our citation. So remember, the citation should be the author's last name in parentheses. These are electronic sources, so you're not going to use a page number. So I'm going to delete the period. Well, actually, I'm going to move the period to after my parentheses. So I'm adding my parentheses and putting the period after it. Now I need to figure out what the author of this article is. So to find that out, I'm just going to go back to my topic guide. I'm going to scroll up to the top, and I'm going to look at my citation for my first source. Josh Miller. So Miller is the last name. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type Miller in the parentheses, and I'm done. I'm just going to go ahead and highlight it red, like I'm supposed to do with all my citations. And that first piece of evidence is added. So let's do that one more time just to practice. So this time I'm going to use a different verb. I'm going to say the article Gen Z or Generation Z reported the most mental health problems oops and I had put reported. Reported is redundant, so I don't want to use that verb. What about reveals? There we go. And I'm going to use a colon this time instead of a comma to set off my lead-in, and I'm going to highlight my lead-in green, as I'm supposed to do with my lead-ins. And then I am going to add my quote. So this quote is coming from the last article. I made a little note of what page number it was on, so it was easy to find it again. So about 75% of Gen Z reported mass shootings as a significant sort of stress, and 72% said the same about school shootings. So it's like an overwhelming majority are afraid of school shootings. Okay, and then I have to think about where I have to do my citation. So with this article, I'm going to see who my author is because that's what would go in the parentheses. So I'm just going to check my works cited stuff at the beginning because that will tell me. And look, this source doesn't have an author. So that means I have to use the article title instead. So when I look back at my paper, my outline, I can see that the article title is already in the sentence. So I'm going to turn that piece of citation information red to show that that's where my citation is, and I don't have to add it in parentheses at the end. So that's adding your evidence, folks. When you're done with that, you can move on to the next step.